welcome to Quick Summary and Review. Let's have a look at BORRELSWORD / let's have a look at the individual archetypes. Without further ado, first is Hyperion, also known as Sanctuary in the Sky because all of the cards mention it. It's probably the most promising deck in the box so far. The skill gives the deck insane consistency that I think playing 30 cards is actually not only feasible, but probably optimal. The deck going first has a 1-card combo that is searchable with a skill that ends on a banish, a flip face down, and a guarantee to follow up, and can threaten disruptions going second using a Master Hyperion. The only problem I found when I tested this deck was that if you get Book of Moons, you're pretty screwed because of how we only have 3 monster zones in Duel Links, which makes it a lot more difficult to combo off using Venus when you only have 2 more zones left. Next is Rocket. Rocket technically got new stuff, it's not a lot. I mean, they got a new skill, but the problem is that a lot of the monsters that the skill is supposed to work with just aren't even in the game. For example, the biggest one being Absolute Dragon, and that card is like really good and obviously designed in mind with the skill, but it just aren't in the game, so we just can't play it. I guess the skill such as Lancia, which is pretty interesting, but probably not good enough, at least in my opinion. Okay, next is Traptrix. The archetype names are also generated, so just ignore that. Traptrix feels like a lot like Constella's, even though it's a trap-focused deck, but in terms of like the playstyle, it reminds me a lot of Constella's in that you're trying to go first and end on an end board that has 1 boss monster with a quick effect along with a bunch of set back row. Except it's even worse because instead of making Pleiades, which is pretty good going second, you're making Rafflesia, which sucks at attacking, and also you don't have 12 1-card starters, and also you don't have 3 draws mid-combo like how you can do with Constella's. We also got new stuff for Noble Knights, and also Noble Knights that for some reason isn't showing on screen. But Noble Knights and Noble Knights technically got a really broken search spell, which is the one that you're looking at right now. It just searches anything from deck and even from graveyard, but I mean it doesn't really solve the biggest issue of the deck, being that it's still really Eclipse reliant, so it's probably just not going to be good enough for the deck to see any play anyway. And for Nobles, we just don't have a lot of the good stuff like Angelica or even like Isold. So without those, the deck just doesn't really do a whole lot. And also, it doesn't help that we don't have exclusive skill for Nobles, so there's also that. Next is Sun Avalon, is a pretty insane link climb deck that can turn a single normal monster in genus Loci into 2 link 4s with 1 disruption each. You can make a Bangalancer, which is a generic plant link 4 that bounces, and also the archetype link 4 that searches a monster gate. And because of the skill being just really good, it gives you a lot of ways to access Loci, so you don't have to always rely on a generic normal monster support, stuff like Unexpected Die that you would usually play in the TCG. You don't have to use it in Duel Links. And everything being a 1-card combo just gives you tons of space for generic back row, which is pretty nice. And before I move on to the single card ratios, I also want to talk about Cyberse because it's technically not an archetype, but it also just got new support. And the main thing is that it got a new skill, and there will also be a structure deck that contains even more support and also Dark Fluid. And I don't really know how good they would be after the new stuff is released. All I know is that the new skill just looks insane. You literally just reveal a monster in hand and then you get to choose to add any Signet spell to your hand from the deck, and also if it's turn 2 or onward, you just add another spell that summons a guy for free. But like, I won't make any definitive conclusions before I see those cards actually in action, so yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait. Okay, now let's have a look at the recommended card amount. Again, this is just speculation. I don't know every single card that well, so just take it with a grain of salt. For the Cyberse ritual, again, as I said, I don't really know what the Cyberse deck will look like after the new support. I would say just get one copy for now if you're planning to play it, but just maybe you would need more when people actually figure out the ratios. For an Agent of Life Neptune, you probably want to get as many copies of that as possible because it's just really good as extension. Double Disruptor Dragon is also pretty good. You can normal summon it without tributing if you use a new skill. Traptrix Miramello is one of the best Traptrix starters. Photon Sanctuary is a pretty interesting one because Photon decks don't even play this card, so you don't even technically need any copies of this card. Lone Flower Blossom is just really good in any plant deck, so just get free if you are playing plants. Infinitable Knight is not very good, but I imagine if it ever becomes good, you probably want to play multiple copies of this. Yeah, and the search spell is just ridiculous if you're playing Noble Knights. BORRELSWORD is probably the best card in the entire box. Just a really good generic link for you probably want to get one copy. For the super rares, we have 3 copies of the search spell, 1 copy of Sowing because it's searchable with a Dryas, 3 copies of Hyperion because even if you draw multiple, you can return them from your hand to your deck using your skill. I don't know how Joker's Knight really plays. This card just doesn't seem very good, but it could be wrong. Brawler Rider Dragon is, I believe, searchable, so you don't really need to play that many. Underclock is good at 1, Mantis is a really good starter, play 3 copies. The Link 4, you're probably just gonna make 1 in the entire game. Charles is fine at 1, I'm pretty sure. And the El Shaddai Fusion is, for whatever reason, in this box as well, and you probably just need 1. Bangle Lancer, 1 copy is fine. So yeah, that's basically it for the box review. TLDR, I think the box is like okay. There are a few decent archetypes. Traptrix is decent, probably not good enough. Hyperion is pretty okay, and also Sun Avalon is pretty okay. But nothing too game breaking, so you can skip this box and maybe just get BORRELSWORD and just leave. Anyway, thanks for watching and goodbye.